Are we ready?
That's right.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Gilbert from Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday night tune-up. We are just north of Rosebud, Arkansas, here at the McShear trucking facilities tonight. We're visiting with Brent Hartwick and Hayden Hartwick and Spencer Hartwick, and the old Rosebud Rocket, Mikey Bell, has graciously joined us tonight, and our co-host Heath Tague over here. Heath tells me that he didn't have a weekly racing recap.
No racing recap this week.
So we're going to pass that, and we're going to get right into Brent Hartwick here in just a second. After we thank our sponsors, we want to thank Chambers Bank, 26 locations throughout Arkansas, for helping bring tonight's show, as well as True Grit Auction Company over in Dardanelle. They have got a fantastic antique car, classic car, and automobile memorabilia auction. It's a online auction. Check them out. There's some great stuff on there. Be sure after the show tonight to check out True Grit Auctions. Check out the Bill Payne auction that they have listed. A lot of great things there. We'll thank Straight Line Transmissions in Greenbrier, Arkansas, as well as Shaw Race Cars just over across the way in Batesville, Arkansas. They're helping bring tonight's show. And anyway, we're here in Rosebud tonight, and we thank you guys for taking time out, and we'll try to get you done in time tonight to watch the Razorback game. I've been hearing a lot about that. The game was moved back 30 minutes tonight because of this show, and so we'll try to be done around 8 o'clock. So.
Just for Mikey.
Yeah, just for Mikey Bell.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know, so we want to thank them for cooperating tonight. But we'll get in the show tonight with Brent down there, and we're sitting here in a very nice room here with all of y'all's racing accolades throughout the years, and it's a very, very beautiful room here at McShear Trucking. And why don't you tell us how this deal got started?
It all got started with my stepdad, Mac. He actually, my stepbrother was racing whenever we started, but my stepdad raced, I don't know, 60s, 70s. He raced, and you know, kids and stuff come along, he kind of got out of it, and then my stepbrother bought a car, and he raced there for a few years, and then me and my younger brother Brad, we decided we wanted to race, so Mac got us into it, and I'm about the only one of the three of us that's still racing. And while I was racing, when they quit, Mac had a couple of cars sitting around here that nobody was running, so that's where Mikey kind of come along. Mac put him in one of them, and just kind of all started from there. We're kind of gaining a few cars back now. We had 6 or 7 there for a while racing, and we got down to just 2, me and Mikey, but we got back up since these boys got old enough they want to race. We're gaining a few cars back, but we're going to probably field, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 cars this year, probably on a weekly basis.
Now, back several years ago, you had a reputation for running Dodges, and some of the few people in Arkansas that was running that type of program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Mac had got to going to Batesville and watching some of the bigger street stock shows, and he called it a Camaro class. He didn't call it super stocks or anything. He said it's a Camaro class, and it was before Monte Carlos ever got popular around and stuff, and he just got tired of seeing it. He said, I want something different. And he'd always been a Dodge person, and he said, I want a Dodge. So him and Bruce Galloway went to a junkyard one time. They started looking at Dodge cars, trying to find something that would make a race car. And they looked at all the cars, nothing had a frame under them, there's all unibody. They come along in the 87, 88 range, somewhere in there, Dodge Dakota pickup. They looked at it and they said, 112-inch wheelbase. It's got relief springs. It's basically what you need to make a car. The only thing different, had rack and pinion front steering on it. So they bought it and drug it to the shop and started building stock car out of it. And they actually work pretty good. We've won quite a few races in them.
Quite a few races.
You know, you look around this room here, and, you know, a lot of these trophies and awards that are hanging up are, you know, attributed to those Dodge trucks.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I'd say most of them in this room probably contributed to Dodge trucks.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yep. And we run Dodge motors in our modifieds till the crate deal come out. And he's still running one of the Dodge pickups. He's gonna still run it in the Leaf Spring class at Batesville. He does really good with it over there.
Yeah. And y'all had two that run in the hobby stock class. You two, you know, last year and done extremely well, you know, out there competing. So, you know, hats off to y'all for that, for doing something different and being successful with it.
And I guess that was a couple of y'all's old Dodge trucks that they had out there that they was running.
The one that Hayden drove actually was an old one.
It was their
Very
The
first
very first one that we done, Spencer's was actually a brand new truck. I had got it from Steve Davenport, and I'd gotten a wreck at West Plains and totaled mine out. And I got that from Davenport, and I was gonna build me a new truck. Well, I just decided I didn't want to do that no more. I just wanted to race modifieds, and so we built him out of the parts that was left over from my wreck truck. We built a new chassis and put it all together for him. So that was brand new, and the very first night out in it, Mikey drove it to shake it down, and he went out there and won the heat and the feature that night.
I think I won hot laps too.
You
You won hot laps
I
too.
think so.
Well, yeah, I can remember the first time sitting there in Centerville, Arkansas, and I'm there at the track. Been over there that y'all come rolling in those Dodge trucks. Come unload them. I can remember sitting over there looking at Nick Lawrence and of course, what you look at them trashy things getting off that truck over there? What on earth have they got? There's no way they can get around the track of those things. Then y'all went out there and kicked all over our butts, so it's kind of a
Done well over there for sure.
so.
Richie Tosh drove
We finally had to quit.
Richie Josh drove one of them over there one night, and he went out there and won the heat race by half a lap. And he come back in. He said, "Golly," he said, "this thing is the worst driving thing I've ever drove in my life." He said, "These things ain't good for nothing but hauling wood." And we was like, "You won by half a lap." He looked around. He said, "Well, it might not be near as bad as I thought it was."
But you, like I said, Mikey too's had some good runs in the truck at various places here in Arkansas. I think it was a couple of years ago, y'all did extremely well down at Little Rock at I-30.
Done good at I-30, over at Plumberville. Quite a few wins at Batesville.
Yeah.
And good runs in the, the bigger races.
And I was trying to remember back, did y'all run the trucks at BB?
Yep.
A few times.
A few times there.
A few times.
Yeah, I
Joe Payne won. He won in the black truck over there. The truck.
Didn't Jeremy Tharp win one over there in one of the pickups?
I think I don't know if he won or run second in the extended cab.
But y'all, especially with the trucks, you know, in their heyday, I mean, y'all are competitive, you know, everywhere you went, had some good runs. I think at Tri-State up Fort Smith, Arkansas area as well. And so, you know, I think the thing about that, which was really good, is like I said earlier, it was something different. You know, y'all took something different and made it work and was very successful with it. So, you know, hats, you know, got to be off to you guys for that, because, you know, that's something that people are always going to remember is, you know, taking those trucks and being very, very competitive with them.
It was really good when we got fast enough that we had some guys saying that we had an advantage over the cars with a higher roll center and stuff like that, which I don't think there was no advantage. But it was, I mean, made you feel pretty good that when you have people start thinking you're cheating or have an advantage over them,
Yeah.
I mean, means you must be doing something right.
Well, you said something there about having an advantage, but what was the disadvantages to the trucks?
The front
The
end.
front ends,
Yeah,
Or,
they don't turn near as well as
I
Camaro.
mean, we're saying a Camaro, you might run a 1,200 pound right front spring. I run second to Peyton in one of them 5,000 at Batesville, I had a 2,400 pound spring. I mean, we just kept stiffening and stiffening. Brent done a bunch of research and we just kept raising it up, trying to keep it from bouncing so bad. I mean, that and the rack and pinion steering, I mean, you go up and kick the tire and break a rack, so kind of had to stay off people. Or
No,
or
steering
you'll,
quick,
or you'll run
no.
out of racks.
We are out now, aren't we?
And those things too, we had a lot of trouble when we first put them together. We put a 2-to-1 quickener on them. And it would lock the steering up. When you would turn the wheel, it would physically lock up. You couldn't turn it. And so you could go down to a 1.5-to-1 quickener and it would turn. And I don't know why, I guess it's like if you take your pickup out here and jerk the steering wheel, you know, it'll kind of lock up for a second. And that was a little bit of a disadvantage those trucks had, is the steering wasn't quite fast enough on them. So it was really hard, they were kind of hard to drive if you raced a track that you was tailed out real bad. It was real hard to countersteer to catch them. So if you notice, about every race we run, they was pretty square. You know, we
Yeah.
didn't drive them tailed out real big. They was pretty square. You had to drive them off the front end and drive them because you really couldn't catch them if you had them tailed out very much.
Made it a little easier to run like at Batesville than it did like at Centerville, where you're having to steer so much.
Right. Yep. Yeah, they was the tracks that you could drive with the front end. It made them a lot better, where you could drive off the right front.
Now, the past couple of years, y'all been concentrating more on the modified effort. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
One reason I think modified was just a little bit cheaper deal, easier. Parts was more readily available. It was a little bit easier to, you know, to deal with. Like I said, the Dodges, there wasn't a lot of parts out there. We had to make a lot of that stuff and build it, and the modifieds was just easier to deal with. You can just kind of pick up anything you want for them pretty easy. And I like it because I like to travel. I travel quite a bit, and the modifieds, you can race them anywhere in the country on the same rules package. Like the trucks was pretty much nailed down to just right here within 3 tracks, you know, 4 right here around home. But the modified deal is a really competitive deal. It's just a lot of fun.
A lot of it come down too, though, that class just got faster and faster, and we pretty much, I mean, I feel like we pretty much maxed out all we was gonna get out of the trucks.
I still say to this day, the trucks, getting in the feature was the hardest part. I think I could run, the truck that I had back then, I could run top 5 right now if I could get out there on a slick track. But when it was hooked up, hammer down, I just never could get where I could compete with the Monte Carlos. But if me or Mikey, either one, I think if you'd throw us out there on the slick track, once it got going, we'd been fine. But they could change stuff too easy. I mean, if they need to change springs, it wasn't nothing to change spring. Well, at least spring rig, you change springs, it seemed like it took you half a night.
Yeah.
You know, a week.
But you know, you like, and you make a good point there. It's, you know, it's gonna take, and you may not even have time to make a leaf spring change at the track, you know, before the feature, as opposed to, you know, the metric type car with a coil spring. It's just a matter of minutes. So, you know, you're at a chassis tuning disadvantage, you know, when you get to the racetrack. But, Mikey, what, you know, and back on the trucks just a little bit, but what were some of the bigger races that y'all competed well in and won with the trucks?
Well, Aaron won, he won a 5,000 at Batesville, and then a week or two later, a 5,000 at West Plains. And then in that same year, a couple weeks later, I guess, at Tri-State, he had one pretty much locked up over there and got spun out, I think on a restart or something. And then come back and won the 2,500 at Centerville that year, and I won it the year before, so we won the first two of those. And I don't remember, I think the Monster Madness, I think may have won one of them over at Centerville. And, I mean, like I said, we run second to 5,000 at Batesville. I think we both run top 5 a couple of times in the 10,000.
Yeah, we'd counted there for a while, the big shows, both of us had made 7 or 8 in a row, big shows at Batesville, not missed one. That was, and back at that time, that was a big deal just to make all them shows. Cause it's very rare that you made all of them.
You was talking about how hard the truck was to drive. Did that make it easier for you to jump in a modified and drive it?
Probably not.
No.
No, you gotta kinda drive them both a little different.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but I just, as hard as that truck was to get in, what about you, Mikey?
Not really. The biggest, I don't know really that there was, I've jumped in, we both have, run both classes and back to back.
Back to back.
And, you just gotta remember which one you're in when you enter the corner.
As soon as you enter the corner,
You know which one you're in.
One tail's out, you get in the gas, one tail's out, you get out of gas, so you just gotta remember which one you're in.
Making me feel real great about this transition from a hobby truck to a modified next year.
That's just a month away.
Like I said, when
Yeah.
you enter turn 1, you remember which one you're in pretty quick.
The main thing I noticed whenever I drove or hot lapped your car at West Plains was the speed of steering was so much different. I mean, the steering in a modified is
So much quicker.
10 times faster.
Like
than
that
it
rack
was
and
in a
pinion thing, and it would lock up the steering. I didn't believe Mike, and he sat out here in the chair and watched me one day. Spent about 2 hours changing out the steering quickener and all that stuff. I went back out of the shop, and I did get a knuckle on good. The steering shaft come off the quickener. I had to fix that. Then I backed it out of the shop, made a circle around the parking lot, come back in. I said, that won't work. And he said, I might have said something about that, man. So, right back to taking it back off. No, I done that when we was in a hurry to go to West Plains. Made me and Brent look like superstars though. We showed up and they was hot lapping. There's some guys around over there gonna help us get ready. They said, we don't really need the hot lap. Both of us start tailback. He comes up there and runs second, and then I come up the next heat and just check out my heat from the back. Boy, we look like superstars now. Didn't even need no hot laps up there. We had it figured out.
Wasn't that the year you won the A qualifier and then started on the front row and broke a clutch on the first lap?
It may have been, I can't remember. I felt like I had a pretty good shot to win that big show that year and broke the center out of the clutch.
Well, you young guys have been a little quiet over there. Tell us what's going on with you guys. Tell us about your past season. Y'all getting started.
This last year was pretty good. Ran the truck a lot at Batesville. Had a couple problems with it throughout the year, but finally towards the end of the year we got it going pretty good. Figured out one of the main problems with it. Had was it the right side axle? Fell down inside the axle tube. So only had one tire pulling. But after we got it fixed, it was pretty solid throughout the rest of the year.
Now, I noticed as the season began to kind of wind down, you seemed to be coming on into your own element there, and was doing a very good job there. So
Yeah, I started doing pretty good at the end of the year.
Did you lean on these guys very much about how that truck drove? No?
No, not really. Mikey drove it. When did you drive it?
I don't remember if it was just, I think it's a couple years ago.
It was,
I broke my street stock, so I got in his to hot lap it and start the street stock feature. And I'd actually laid back on the start, and I run a few of them down and then pulled off. I come in, and he said, "Where you letting off at?" I said, "At the guardrail." And his dad said, "Don't be trying that just yet."
I don't think I started doing that until this past year. So on the whole right side of my truck's kind of got a couple scrapes on it from the wall. It's about when he hot lapped Spencer's truck when they first got it done. I've been racing probably a year and a half, maybe it was just a year. But he went out there first time in that truck, just went out there and won. the experience showed me going out there in second year racing. He just went out there and just wiped everybody. I couldn't hardly keep up with him.
Does it, when you send him out there in the truck and he comes back in and he has a good run, but does it help your confidence knowing that that truck is capable of doing what it's doing, or?
Yeah, it helped a lot when he comes back in from when he drove my truck. Kind of helped me figure out where to let off and where to get back into that. Helped a lot on a couple races after that.
What about you, young man?
On the confidence story about Mikey going out and winning first night in your own race car, at first I thought it helped me until I didn't win when I went out there the first 2 nights, and then it bothered me. And then I think I raced 3 nights my first year. My second year I ended up winning my first race, and then last year I won. But the whole truck deal, I mean, it's cool to take it. I already traveled and raced more this year than I have the last 2 years, being out of school because of the COVID deal all taking over the world. But it's cool to have them because we went to Springfield and I unloaded it, and I mean, we probably had 30 people gather around at one point because they had never seen anything like that before. And then the year overall was pretty decent. I had some bad luck towards the end of the year and couldn't get out of my own way. And I was a heat race hero. I could win any heat race from tailback or anywhere, but once you got to the feature time, I pretty much played out. And made a show at Springfield, started 5th in it, felt good about it, and then got in a wreck. Was running the hobby race at Batesville and ended up in a wreck. So the end of the year, I just hit a rough spot, but other than that, it was fun and good.
But you had a pretty good season.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. You always want it to be better, but I guess that's part of it.
Now, I guess the question I want to ask is, how competitive are you two?
I mean, pretty competitive. The first 2 years we raced, if my truck was
It's broke a
broke,
lot.
the first 2 years that I raced, if my truck was broke, his wasn't. If
It seemed how it was the whole time we was racing.
Yeah, if his truck was broke, mine wasn't. If mine was broke, his wasn't. We hardly ever got to race each other. Last year we finally got to race each other a little bit.
A few times.
But I mean, y'all get a little rivalry going between you during the week or at school or
I mean,
or y'all
really?
just kind of take it as kind of a teammate deal.
More of a teammate thing. We'll help each other out more than anything.
yeah. We try to
I
stay on
think
the
these
same
two have
page.
a rivalry.
Oh, they definitely do. They don't talk.
Back in that day.
They don't talk it as much, but I try to stir it up as much as I possibly
It's kind of
can.
different. We've got our own race shops as part of it too, I think. Mikey and Hayden works out of one shop, me and Spencer work out of another shop. So we're not in the same shops, but
And y'all are across the street.
yeah. But normally, I mean, if me or Mikey, either one has a bad night on Friday or Saturday night, we're normally in here on Monday trying to figure out what's wrong with the car. I mean, whether it's either one of us, we're trying to figure out
Was it just
why they had such a bad night, you know, if it was them or if it was something wrong with the car, you know.
Mikey just hadn't worked on it that week and greased
Or-
everything?
I'll grease them every week. That's something easy to do.
He
Some of the other
might
stuff that I miss out on.
leave a bit rear end in the car about 3 or 4 weeks and complain about it not having traction.
But there's not too much rivalry really. We just want to win.
Right.
I mean, that's the main thing. Whether it's either one of them 3 winning or me winning, I just want.
Well, I
It
told
was
him.
like I said, I could always remember when, like I told you earlier, when y'all first pulled in down there, first time I seen those Dodge trucks, and then it got to where it was almost a normal that those Dodge trucks were almost gonna run 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Down there, you know, it kind of got.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. It was really good down there. But you know, that kind of helped the competition down there.
It did.
Because, not to say anything bad about the guys at Centerville, but they was kind of complacent. They had run the same guys for so many years, and they was competitive amongst each other. But when you brought like them in there to run against them, they all picked up the speed a bunch down there. I mean, all them other cars that was racing there at the time got way faster whenever Mikey and them started going down there and outrunning them. They all picked the pace up quite a bit.
I think the modified division did too, when you and Richie was going down there running, and
Yeah, me and Richie went down there like the first night and run
Yeah,
1-2.
stuff too,
Me and Richie, the first night I think we run down there, he won and I run second, and which Nick and Corey was always pretty salty down there. They was pretty good, but
and Dale and Jimbo, if they didn't run over each other.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
I'm glad you mentioned it. We also need to thank Western Petroleum tonight for helping bring the show. I got a little out of kilter tonight since Heath didn't give a weekly racing update.
Should have
So
made up something.
He should. Most weeks he does. But over to back to the modified. You know, you talked about traveling a lot, and you all realistically been all over the country the last couple of years. Tell us a little bit about what's going on when you're out traveling. Some of your travel experiences.
this year I've been to South Texas twice already. I raced.
And that's this winter. You're
Yeah.
in the off season here in Arkansas.
The first time, I guess it was in December. In December, I went down there and raced a 2-night deal. Then I went back in January and was supposed to race a 4-night deal, and the rain down there, and their water table is where, I mean, any little bit of water, they just can't do anything. And so they shortened it to a 2-night deal, and we went and ran it. And they had, one of the craziest things I've seen, they had a helicopter driving the pits down there. They
9 o'clock in the morning when we got in at 4, so we were trying to sleep. It's hard to sleep with a helicopter landing.
But I'd never seen anything like that. They had a helicopter flying around, hovering in the pits, trying to drive the pits just to get the show on. Pretty neat deal. But
Did it work?
It worked.
Good.
But that's a pretty nice place down there. Barry Braun's been trying to build that as kind of a winter place. You know, Arizona's got their winter deal. And I used to go to Arizona every year in January and February. But that's about half as far to go to Corpus Christi, and they're going to start trying to do the same thing in the winters down there as they're doing in Arizona. That way, it's somewhere closer for like the Iowa people and us and stuff to go race, is to have to, it's 800 miles instead of 1,600 miles. And that's a pretty good deal down there.
And it's a pretty nice track, and the pay is,
It doubled Arizona's pay.
Yeah,
it's great too. So.
Yeah, they had good payout. It's a good deal. I'm wanting to go at the end of this month back to Texas, and I think they've got that Lone Star stock car tour, and I think I may try to catch the last couple nights of it. May go to Kennedale and to SOS. I really like that Southern Oklahoma Speedway. If I want to go, I like to
I don't care if
make
that
up.
You're
take a
over at
weekend out of
Ardmore.
it. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your adventures at Ardmore.
Yeah.
Well,
Mikey, if you
it got real quiet, and then it got real rough, and then it got real quiet, and then it got real rough, and then stopped. And Brent and Jeff come up, there's a tractor, check on me, and he said, it looked like a little old lazy rollover. And I looked down the back straightaway there, and it looked like I'd been wrecking for about a mile. So, I wasn't a fan of the place, but
And you tore that car up pretty good.
yeah, I told them that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought I was gonna be able to fix it, put a stub on it, but I don't know. It probably could have been stub, but I guess Shaw Bus decided they wanted me to do car instead, and I told them I couldn't do that. Then Tommy, helped us out on getting the chassis, and here, I mean, we put it all together, so it's been a good car so far. But I promised my mom I wouldn't go back to Oklahoma and race after that.
Well, I was just fixing to ask if you've been back out there.
No, I can't break that promise, my mom. I might go a couple weeks, but I hate to tear up a new body before we get ready to go to Bristol. Well, it takes me a couple months to put a body on.
And I'll let Heath take over here, because I know he's dying to talk about Bristol. I know he attends the NASCAR race there a lot, and
I'm anxious to see what's going to happen in Bristol.
I
It's
think
going to be
we all
fun. I think everybody's anxious to see. I'm anxious to see how fast these cars are going to be. is Mikey gonna go down into turn one and say, man, what am I doing out here? Or are you gonna go down to turn one and
Very
say, man,
possible.
this is pretty good?
If it's smooth, I don't think it'll be that bad, as far as the speed. I mean, I don't know what we've run at Batesville and in places like that, on bigger tracks, that
Well, they are not near that big.
if we run, I mean, Vegas was a true half mile, I guess. And when it was smooth, it was fine. I mean, I'd rather run there wide open in practice when it was smooth, but when it got, it slicked off, and then they had some big craters in the track a couple of years ago, and it was a little sketchy entering the turn, not knowing where he's going to end up. I mean, there's quite a few guys upside down on the wall, and I got a little piece of the wall myself. But I think if it's smooth out there, I think it'll be fine. I'm not near as worried about me or Brent as I am these rookies going out there.
You're not talking about these two over here, are you?
Well, this one's not gonna drive out there, but this one is, and
I don't think debuting a modified at Bristol is such a great idea.
He's gonna
he's gonna get him some.
Taking a
You
stop
know,
one right there.
that and rookies like Tommy do going out there
Lord.
and
Yeah.
running, but
He may need to wear the pins.
just
Like you
you know,
might
just
need to.
thinking that he might.
I mean,
Pretty good idea, our telephone's gonna light up on the way home.
Yeah.
I mean, the offer is out there that I'll take over for him, but I may need every other night off, I don't know.
Okay.
Are you excited about that yourself, Brent? The Bristol.
I'm more excited about Bristol, about getting to go out there, I guess, and see people I ain't got to see in a couple of years, that I
Right.
race with and I still talk to and stuff like that, and get to hang out. I'm just a little uncertain about the racetrack. We're gonna be the first cars on it,
Right.
so who knows if it's gonna stay together, come apart. Like Mikey said, it's rough. Last year I was on Texas Motor Speedway and we got rained out one night and we run the next night, and it was rough and fast and wasn't just a whole lot of fun.
Right.
And as long as the track stays smooth, speeds is not gonna bother me. But the bouncing around with 15 other cars that far apart might bother me a little bit. I just, that's one thing y'all brought up, Batesville. Man, that joint, whenever they got it hooked up, you go around there and you never even lift. And I can't stand racing on it when it's like that. I hate it when it's rough and fast. And I just hope that they've got some way of slicking Bristol off and making it last the whole night without rubbering up or anything. There's just a lot of cars going to be on it.
There's gonna be, I mean,
What
What
is
is
it?
it?
It's gonna
They
be
said
20
like-
car heat
like-
races.
right, what was it? There was about 2,000, or is that what they said? Or is it?
There's 1,400 plus some late
1,400
models, and
plus-
there was gonna be 150 or so.
So,
of those so far.
1,500 cars.
I know.
But every other night, I mean, I don't
Right.
know. The
I
big,
know.
another big deal is, like I said, there's gonna be 20 car heat races in modified. And if you go down that list and you look at some of them guys that signed up, I mean, I don't know if they've ever been to a track bigger than, say, Crowley's Ridge or Harrisburg or, Little Rock or something like that. And you kinda gotta remember what you're racing with, and guys that had never run triple digits off in the corner.
Now, it'd definitely be triple digits.
Yes. I'm figuring probably 120, 130 maybe.
But the good thing about it is, and I don't know how much Mike Van Gendren's going to help on track prep or anything, but that guy's a racer. He's one of the best race directors that I've probably raced with, and he's helping Barry on that deal. And if Mike's got anything to do with the track prep, it's going to be in pretty good shape.
I mean, just
So-
watching how they've done everything, I mean, they're trying to make it where it's,
Oh, they're trying hard.
where it's gonna be great.
But knowing too, they're gonna have like the World Outlaws after us, a NASCAR race. Kind of our job is to go out there and beat the crap out of the racetrack.
That's basically what you are gonna be track packers for the NASCAR guys.
Right.
But you're still getting to race, lots of racing on Bristol Motor Speedway, right?
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, we get
It'll
to
snow out.
we get to find the weak spots in the racetrack.
Right.
But, and I'm okay with that. Like I said earlier, you know, if it gets more than I want to deal with, and I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt a motor or tear something up real bad, I may just have me a good camping spot and drink beer all weekend.
The idea of, and you talked about going over there and visiting with friends and racing over there, but in the back of your mind, was it the lure of racing at Bristol Motor Speedway that really attracted you to that race?
I don't know. I don't think much about just going to Bristol. I just think it's the first time they're gonna do it, and it could be the last time they do it, and that's one reason I wanna go. I mean, you hear people like Wayne Brooks and Wendell Wallace talk about when they run in like 2000 or whatever. We didn't think they'd ever have dirt cars on Bristol again. We figured that's the last time it ever happened. And I'd like to be able to say one day, if this is the last time it happens, that I raced at Bristol.
Maybe another 20 more
Yeah,
years.
could be. Hey, and it could be a yearly deal. This may be just the start of doing it every year, but you don't know right now.
Right.
I mean,
How do you see the Bristol race? How do you see it attracting attention back to local dirt track racing? I mean, obviously it's getting some exposure.
I really think it will, and I really think that local dirt track racing in the last couple of years is starting to blow up. I mean, I really think there's a lot more people watching it than there used to be. I think it's gaining. A lot of people love racing, and a lot of people watch NASCAR. But NASCAR, I feel like, got too political last year and run a bunch of people off. I know it run me off. I won't turn a NASCAR race on now. I won't watch anything that has to do with NASCAR. When they got into politics and I mean, a lot of people take the Confederate flag different ways and stuff, but the Confederate flag's been in NASCAR since NASCAR started. When they started telling people what they could and couldn't do like that and taking people's rights away, I was done with it. So.
You talking about, you thought it blowed up in the last couple of years, more people, and that's something that we've talked about before. How do we get more youth at this age? Yeah, because these boys have been around it their whole life, but how do we get these kids to come back out and start getting involved in racing again? How do we do that?
You gotta make it fun and entertaining. Well, Tim McCready kinda said it good the other night. You need to let people throat punch each other in the pits every once in a while. I mean, honestly, you can't, I mean, you gotta let people be themselves.
See the interview? He talked about all that rough driving down at East Bay and maybe they need to get back to throat punching people in the pits, because, what was it, fear equals respect.
He said fear equals
Somebody's scared,
respect.
you're gonna respect them a little more.
And he said, back when he was coming up, he said, you drove somebody like that, you got your front teeth knocked out when you got back to the pits. And he said that just don't happen anymore. And I think that's, and I mean, I'm not saying that people need to be out there fighting in the pits every week, but I think a little bit of controversy is good for racing.
But not just that, I mean, and we've talked about that, me and Bill have talked about this numerous times, but what do we do now, when we've asked this question to other people before, what do we do now to be able to get young kids into racing, as far as, I mean, or just not necessarily young kids, but just people back into racing? You know, it's got to the point where racing is, you know, unless you've got $30,000, you can't go racing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't have that to get started off with. Well, what do we do to get?
I think Tracy and the bunch at Plummerville, I mean, I think they're trying to get back to that if they'll stick with it. I mean, I know Moby done it before, done a Young Guns type deal or something like
He has
that.
like a,
But then
one,
but you don't
gonna
stick
be
with
one this
something
year.
long enough. There is gonna be again. I know, like the front wheel drive class, I mean, yeah, it was, you know, economical for anybody, but it was also a good place for, you know, kids or beginners to
Beginners.
start. And you got guys that's still racing front wheel drive that raced, you know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I understand, I mean, sometimes you just can't afford to move up to another class, but
And I talked to a guy down there in Texas, you know, I've raced quite a bit in Texas, and I talked to a guy down there that had a track close to a military base. And all those guys off the military base wanted to come race and stuff, but, you know, they didn't have cars or anything.
Right.
So he went and had bought a bunch of like front wheel drive cars and put them out there and like rented them to them guys and sold them to them and let them leave them there at the racetrack. I mean, I don't know if you got some kids that's old enough to, you know, that you could do that, if a track promoter would do something like that, you know, rent them or sell them or something at the racetrack. But that guy said he done really good and had some really good racing. But all them guys, you know, those 18 and older, is all in the military. But he said it made for a really good time.
Part of the problem that I see with that though is, I mean, I started racing when I was still in high school. Everybody thought, well, that's cool. I want to drive it. Well, they don't see what the 30 hours a week we spend in the race shop every week, because you don't just get on them and drive them. You drive them for 15 minutes, you work on them for 15 hours. I mean, that's how it is. The work is what runs people off now, I think, is more than anything. Is no one wants to work on them all the time. Trust me, because I wish there was a way that we didn't have to work on them. We just got to go drive them every Friday night.
And that's really the deal this year. Me and him, we've not had an off season. Cause we come in here, got the car stripped down, put new bodies and stuff on them, and then went racing.
Which we had 3 cars that were race ready at the end of race season last year. He bought a new stock car. We stripped all 3 of our race ready ones, got them repowder coated, and rebuilt 4 cars in between November and when we left December 15th to go race.
I still hadn't got a body on Bill.
1 car.
You're still working. You're still working at that first
I
thing.
started the same time they did,
September,
and
so,
I still hadn't got a body on.
It's,
when you get it on, we'll come back and do a show from the shop over there.
It'll be probably shorts weather.
Sure. And did you get everything straightened out from the race for Hope?
I'm still waiting on some more parts. Actually, I think they shipped out yesterday, headed this way from California, so.
You know, he turned upside down, and
Yeah.
you didn't. And he went
And I
out
think
still.
I tore up more than he did.
That's what I'm saying. You know, he still went out and raced after that, but yours was just kind of.
Tony Hawk still owes you a skateboard,
Yeah,
yes,
I
I
do.
tell, or needs to introduce you to one or something.
I don't know how it happened.
That's what I couldn't
I was
understand.
too busy
because, you know,
watching him
he's-
flip,
well,
and I
he-
got
yeah.
to crash. trying to watch him
He's
flip.
upside down flipping, and I don't know that you had hardly looked like had a mark on top of his car, but yours looked like it had been rolled over numerous times, and you didn't even roll over.
No, I tried. We're going fast enough, I guess.
And they waited till Sunday to try to put the car back together and realized that it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, the brake rotor was broken, and when we went to fix it, found out the rear end housing.
Well, Saturday, they were pretty confident they were gonna be in, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and when I walked by his pits there and got to look, you know, that I don't, you know, he's a barbecuing or something like that, I think, and Tommy's sitting on the seat, and there was, you know, that car sitting on a tarp with about this much mud all over the whole tarp. I don't think they worked on it. They pulled it up on the tarp and.
No, and it really, they got it down to the point that they didn't have a lot to do to it. But when they went to put the hub back on, when they got a brake rotor and put the hub back on, it had egg-shaped the end of the axle tube, and they couldn't get a nut to screw back on it.
Okay.
So they couldn't put it back together. And they waited till Sunday to try to put it back together, Saturday or Sunday, maybe it's
It rained
Saturday.
all day Saturday, it was
Yeah.
Sunday morning I got out there.
But they tried to put that nut back on and it wouldn't thread back on.
Here I've been trying to give Mikey a hard time about that, and
Yeah.
it was something like that. I just
Hey,
just
well,
quit working.
and,
you know, I
decided
got
to barbecue all
I-
night.
We decided that we was gonna run my car just a couple laps in the B, and then he was gonna go out there and he's gonna run the A in it. We'd left my car sitting there and didn't charge the battery on it or nothing. We tell Mikey, Said, all right, go out there, run you a couple laps, come back in, top the fuel off, charge the battery up, and get ready to race. He comes off the racetrack, goes back around there and gets in line up. I come off the racetrack and I took off running up there and found him. I was like, hey, you gonna charge that battery? Oh crap, I forgot all about that. So I was out there thrashing, trying to get a battery charger on it. Then he goes out there in the feature. I was like, did you fill it up, fuel? No, it's got what it's got in it. I think it's got enough. Well, what, lap
38 of them.
Lap 38, he runs out of fuel. Then they get fuel put back in the car, and the battery's dead on it, it won't start back up, so he's just done.
29th to 11th,
Yeah.
and then ran out of fuel 2 to go.
I was tired anyhow. Been a long wait.
Long way. Talk about the race for hope. That's the format and the competition there. It's tough to make that A main in that race. You'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, a lot of it's your draw in and stuff. I mean, if you don't start up front with the field of cars that shows up, I mean, it makes it tough to get in out of a heat race. And then, you know, if you don't win a heat race, then you're starting on the back half of the field. And you know, that caliber of cars, it's hard to get up in there and, you know, make that top 10 or whatever it was this year.
And the first 2 years it was 8, and then it was 10. It went up to 10.
But I mean, that's you know, like I said, you get a quality of driver in here for that race that every qualifying race out there is a big one. I mean, it's you know, it's an A main in any track in the country,
yeah.
and you know, people, you know, really, if they're not coming and watching that race, they really don't know what they're missing from a competition standpoint.
Car count hadn't went up like I thought it would, but the caliber of drivers are still there. I mean,
Right.
You're still gonna have your, you know, 60, 70 cars that could go anywhere and win.
It may go up this year.
So,
50,000 on the line, yeah.
yeah, we'll probably grab them because we've got too many cars this
Well,
year.
what do you think, 50,000 in that race, what do you think that, you know, what does that bring to that race?
I don't know. There's a lot of people. Batesville's one of them places that people love it or hate it. You know, there's a lot of people just don't like that place, and they just won't come back. They don't care if it pays $100,000; they're not going to come back. And so, I don't know. I just don't know what it's going to do. I hope it draws more cars. I hope it's something we can have every year.
I think Ricky Thornton Jr. having a contract to run a Lucas Oil late model all year and won't be in a modified, especially if this event rolls around, that'll draw more cars. I'm serious as a heart attack. I've heard multiple people say that we just can't outrun him and won't come because of it, that are from out of state and race national.
There's a good chance we'll have a new winner this year for sure with Thornton and Strickler running late models.
And I mean, we've raced Thornton everywhere, all over the country, and I mean, the guy
He's
he can just drive. And I mean, it's not taking nothing away from him to run people off. He's doing it for a living. But
That race though too, I mean, just those races, I mean, it's a nightmare for track for one thing. I mean, that place just doesn't handle that many laps very well. And everybody, you know, the first year the track was rough, and
The first year it was really good.
yeah, the first year it was
Second
good,
year
it rubbered up.
It rained all week.
And then it rained the second year and it was real rough. And I've been in transfer spots every year to get in the feature and have something happen. This year I was started pretty far up front. I qualifier, went out there in the parade laps, my brake pedal went to the floor. Whenever I flipped the car, like you was talking about earlier, I flipped the car the night before. Apparently it shook the brake line loose or something, and when I got out there, the brake line come loose and it pumped all the brake fluid out of it, and I run the whole thing with absolutely no brakes. And I think I ended up pulled in the infield. It got a little wild at the end of it, and I just knew I didn't have any brakes, so pulled in. But
What about the IMCA stock car? Where do you think that we're headed with that?
I think it's a good deal. I think
We've both been advocates of it for a while.
it's some of the best racing out there. I mean, when you go travel and stuff, even though I'm a modified fan, when the stock cars go on the racetrack, I go to the fence to watch. It's so exciting to watch them because a lot of times with one lap to go, there's 5 or 6, 7 cars. Any one of them might win. They're so close together. It just makes it exciting for the fans.
Yeah, they're definitely, you throw a blanket over the top 10 usually.
Yeah.
I mean, at Super Nationals, the cars that started 25th, 26th, and 28th, like 8th, run 1, 2, 3 last year in stock car.
Do you think that'll be a class that will generate people back into the dirt track sport in this region of the country?
I don't know. I think it's a more economical deal. I think it'll bring more racers back to the track. And I know they're running that Power I series now for them, what I guess you'd call outlaw super stocks. But man, them cars are just so high dollar to race weekly. I think that the guys that want to race weekly, that's a good class for them. I think that, you know, to have a weekly class. I think some of the guys like in the class they was running in, that Leaf Spring class, I think will come up to that class.
Yeah, that's been a good class. It's been a good competitive class, and I mean there's a lot of nights there at Batesville that, you know, in the last lap you have, you know, 3, sometimes up as many as 5 cars that still had a chance to win the feature race. It was, you know, some of the best racing I've seen anywhere in a long time.
It is a very good economical class. The only thing the only downfall I see for that class is just at that track. I wish some other guys would kind of adopt them rules so they could run in a few other places. That's one good thing about the super stocks, the IMCA super stocks coming. I know I-30 runs them. Batesville's gonna run them. You can travel around and
Lumberville's running
run them.
the same class too, aren't they?
Yeah,
I wish
it's just not sanctioned.
I wish Legit would have went that direction. They went to USRA rules, I think.
There's not a big difference.
No,
It'd be better if they were the same that way.
tire rule,
You
but
could-
I wish they'd have went
For regional
IMCA.
points and stuff like that.
I think whenever we get a few more of them around here to pick up too, where guys can run for national points. That's one thing that hurts us in this area. We don't have enough tracks where people can run for national points. I think if we get a few more tracks, IMCA, that'll help. I'm a big fan of IMCA. A lot of people don't like it. They want to run outlaw stuff. But I'm a
I
fan.
think the racing's better with the, I mean, I know we complain about it a lot when we don't start where we think we should, but I think the points determine your lineup instead of drawing in.
They've actually changed all the points deal this year up, so it may be a real cluster trying to get everything done now.
You know, and that's, you bring up an interesting point there. We talked about that a lot from a from a fan standpoint. You know, racing is the last several years is really everywhere you go, they will reward the winner of the heats to the feature. And it really, and a lot of times makes a lackluster performance for the fans in the stands because let's be honest, you know, fans want to see their favorite driver out there passing cars and coming up through the, you know, do we look at something like that in the future to make the racing more entertaining for the fan?
We've been racing that. I went to that deal in Texas and have been to some different places. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the passing points in the heat races, and then however many cars you will take like the top 8 redraw for a starting position, and then you run B's with the rest of the cars, and then they line up. I'm a pretty big fan of the passing point and then redraw deal. I like it. A lot of people don't. They think if you run passing points, you ought to line up by passing points, but I kind of like the redraw.
And you guys wouldn't notice it, but, and we've talked about a lot, and we've seen a lot, you know, when the heat races are over, you know, and especially in your late June, July, and August months, you know, people in the stands will leave because they've got a pretty good idea who's going to win the feature. They're headed home to the air conditioner or something like that, and they'll look the results up on the internet later that night. So, you know, from a promotional standpoint, we got to start doing things that will keep, you know, people there, you know, for the feature races. But
Like you're saying, you take somebody back and redraw per passing, or you invert the top.
I don't like that
So,
whole
I mean,
invert deal.
But you get, you know,
The redraw deal's kind of a fun deal because a lot of times they'll bring people out, bring the top 8 out on the front stretch, and they kind of interact with the fans a little bit. They'll draw, throw them a t-shirt, throw them a frisbee, or do something, you know, for the fans, and it makes it a little more interesting. Gets the fans involved a little bit more. The IMCA deal, you know, we're just kind of got our hands tied on the points deal on it because, you know, the top 12 cars and passing points line up the way they line up, and that really kind of sucks in a way because last year I knew as long as I made it to third place, I was starting where I started in the features. So once I got to third in the heat race, I didn't even try no more.
And that's what I'm saying too, I mean, we complain about it, but actually for the fans, I mean, the faster cars are starting 10th and 12th, and they're gonna have to come through the field.
right.
And sometimes, you know, it'll bite the faster guys, because if the track cleans off, everybody gets lined out, then it's hard to run them down in places like Batesville, you know, where they get, you know, quarter mile ahead. But that's what I do like about the IMCA stuff, is I mean, unless you're playing the point system, which I think they're trying to fix that this year, then your faster guys that, you know, on a weekly basis will be starting in the back every night. So they're gonna have to come through the field, and, I mean, it's gotta be better for the fans.
Right.
I like watching, I don't like having to do it, but I like watching it.
Right.
The only thing that I didn't like about the invert system at Batesville that we had, like everything other than IMCA runs off the invert deal, was that I won, and which you draw a 6 every night. I've determined there is nothing in that bucket but a 6 pill.
you're exactly right. No.
I won, which, and I was trying to.
Number, wasn't it?
I was trying to race
Six, eight,
I was trying to race the points. Well, heat races reward points. So
So
you,
a 6 and a 9.
I guarantee it. So I would go out and I'd have to try to win my heat race. Well, I won like 6, 7 heat races last year, but I never started any further forward than third row out in the feature. And I'm telling you, there's nothing in there but a 6.
No.
And
You was asking, on the big shows, I really think that they need to do some kind of field draw. Something, I don't think, you know, even those stock car races and stuff, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 10,000 to win, I don't really think the fastest car ought to be on the pole.
And I want to throw out a disclaimer here in this discussion. We're not just picking on Batesville Motor Speedway.
No.
This is
Home
home track. This is all across the board everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
home track reference.
Yeah.
I mean, we can pick on other tracks too, because I'm not a fan.
Let's not get into that.
I'm not a fan of the passing points, like you run a couple of heats of passing points and line them up for the event like that, because, I mean, I know I won a hard charger award by passing 2 cars in the feature, because all the fast cars had already showed what they had for 2 heats, and that's just where everybody's gonna finish. That's, I would mention 8 tracks on that one.
What were you, 20th to 18th?
21st and 19th, I think.
I thought they only started 20 cars there.
We'll start to wind this down because we know y'all got a basketball game to watch, and we've got a 2-hour ride home. But Mikey, I know you discussed this one time before, and I get asked this all the time, so I'm gonna ask again. But where did the Rosebud rocket come from?
Well, I reckon that come from you. It was a surprise to me too. I'm glad you come up with it. We may have come up with something else. I think it's good for selling shirts. So
We'll work on that. We'll see what we come up with. But, we'll go around the table here and talk about what's in store for y'all in 2021. Brent, let you go first. What's your plans for 2021?
I know I'm gonna race modified and IMC stock car, but not 100% sure. I kind of take things week to week. If big show pops up somewhere and I can go, I go. Last year I kind of got roped into the points deal because I just about halfway through the season I just happened to be the points leader, and I've never raced for a points championship, so I just decided last year I wanted to race for it. And I won it last year, so I don't know if I'll do that again or not, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But I like racing the big shows, so I like traveling. So I'll just have to see how it goes.
All right, Spencer.
Well, I'm still gonna run the truck at Batesville, and then hopefully I'm gonna run the mod at West Plains, and hopefully by the end of the year I can be competitive enough in that when he goes and runs these winter deals, I can go run during the winter and kind of broaden my racetracks where I've not, or to where I can travel a little bit and go do more stuff. That's the hope and plan anyway.
All right, and I'll go down and check the bucket and make sure the proper numbers are in there opening night. Hayden, you've been the quiet one here tonight, so we're gonna put you on the hot seat here for a little bit.
We're gonna run that stock car a lot, take it to Bristol and try to get it figured out. And probably just gonna run at Batesville a lot and try to travel with it a little bit, try to get it all figured out. See how we can do it.
Okay. Mikey Bell.
I don't know, I'm still working on getting this body on, so if we get it on, I think
Do we need to have Tommy New come up and help?
I think he's got enough stuff going on
Okay.
already, that stock car. Hopefully he gets it ready, the chicken's out driving it, and maybe run it some. I don't really know, I don't really know, I know we'll run Batesville a lot, and maybe West Plains and Little Rock some, and try to do more racing this year, if everything allows us to.
Well, Heath, what do you plan on doing this year?
Just watching these guys race.
So they'll have something to talk about at the start of the show.
Something to talk about, yeah.
So where are we going next week, Heath?
Oh, Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Going to Fort Smith?
Yeah, we're gonna go up there and see Chuck Knight
Until yet?
and Tilly Evans. We're gonna sit up there and visit with those guys. There's no telling what stories they got from racing, what,
Yeah.
40 years?
40.
At least.
Chuck's got to have at least 50 in.
Well,
He may be knocking on the door of 50. 50
And
years racing.
Tilly's about the same, so I think they started the same year back in the early 70s or late 60s.
So,
They were younger than these two right here, so. That'll
and Chuck, I guess Chuck, he still goes up and races with y'all every once in a while for a
Yeah,
baseball.
he's at Batesville every time they run them straight stock shows. Sure enough.
Well, anyway, we appreciate you guys, letting us come up and visit with y'all tonight. Like I said, we're all about trying to capture the history of motorsports in Arkansas and document it. And y'all definitely have been a big part of the motorsports history here in Arkansas. So we appreciate y'all taking the time to speak with us tonight. So again, for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine's Tuesday Night Tune-Up, we want to thank our sponsors, Chambers Bank, with 26 locations throughout Arkansas to serve you better. Shaw Race Cars over in Batesville. Straight Line Transmissions down in Greenbrier, Arkansas. Glad to have Caleb Emerson on board. We also want to thank True Grit Auctions, and like I said, check out their Facebook page and website for the Bill Paint auctions going on. Classic and antique cars and automobile memorabilia. That's an online auction, so a lot of great things there to check out. So check out Gary and Cindy's page. They voted best of the best down in the Arkansas River Valley. And we also want to thank Western Petroleum for helping bring tonight's show. So again, for the old Rosebud Rocket here, Mikey Bell. I'll try to have a new nickname for him in a few weeks. And Brent Hartwick, Hayden Hartwick, and Spencer Hartwick down the end. We appreciate you watching tonight. Oh, and before we get out here, we got to thank our program director, Aaron Gilkey, because without him, None of this would be possible because Heath over there still hadn't figured out how to set up all the computers and everything, so.
Coming from a guy with a flip phone.
That's right. But anyway, we appreciate y'all watching tonight, and we'll see you next Tuesday night from Fort Smith, Arkansas.